Hello, and welcome back to Archives of Fabella Daily, the longest-running podcast on the history of a magical world. Go ahead, find one that has more episodes in your net. I dare you! Today is January 29th, equal to Aquarius 10th. Books are available on Amazon. Please rate and review the podcast on iTunes, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And hit that subscribe button for more great stories right in your feed. January 29th is the date in his State of the Union address. President George W. Bush describes regimes that sponsor terror as the axis of evil, in which he includes Iraq, Iran, and North Korea. But in the magical wonderland of Fabella, a notorious terrorist was put behind bars. I'm Dylan Foley, and this is Archives of Fabella. Beyond our world, there is love. Beyond our world, there is war. Beyond our world, there is life. Beyond our world, there is Fabella. Aquarius 10th, 6002 FY Fabella year, equal to January 29th, 2002 AD Earth year. It's the technology age in Fabella, a period which finds the magical world in Fabella at its modern height. On Aquarius 10th, 6002, notorious harpy terrorist known to the world by the nickname the Countess was sentenced to life in prison. So, just who was this mad villainess, and what did she do that made her one of the most dangerous villains in history? The Countess was born into a harpy family under the name Iona Carpathia. She had a fairly normal upbringing and seemed poised for a perfectly respectable life after enrolling in Scholomance Institute and marrying Count Ridley Krauss, making her Countess Iona Kraus. But behind the exterior of a doting wife and mother lurked a dark and dangerous mind. Iona became convinced that the world's population had climbed out of control. She thought that Fabella could only sustain around 3 billion people. At the time, Fabella's population was about 7 billion. So, Iona set about designing ways to limit the population growth. She gave several public speeches on the subject of overpopulation, and encouraged supporters to do their part by having less children and adopt. This was not against the law, but what landed her on Sheban authorities' terrorist watch list was her fascination with explosives, and what one investigator called restrained jubilation at natural disasters or mass casualty disasters brought on by war overseas. Iona eventually graduated from purely theoretical and healthy population control suggestions to outright genocide, with her involvement in the 5997 bombing of the Good Hands homeless shelter and the 5998 explosion of the Halfling Alliance building. Iona had been public with her opinions that halflings and homeless were worthless people who deserved to be wiped off the face of the world. Sadly, many agreed with her assessment, and when, after Iona had been involved in no less than 18 other international mass casualties, she was finally arrested in the year 6001. A crowd of her supporters stood outside the World Court in Camelot on Aquarius 10th as she was sentenced to life in prison for her actions. Iona committed suicide in the courtroom by picking up a pen and jabbing it into her throat. She bled out in the courtroom, and was pronounced dead at the scene. Still, she continued to haunt Fabella after her death, for Iona did not die without first having ignited the flame that would grow to become the Phantom League of terrorists, seeking to knock Fabella down to its foundations. In 6008, the Third World War erupted as a war on terror. Iona also left behind plans to steal nuclear bombs from America and detonate them in Fabella, a feat the Phantom League accomplished on Sagittarius 29th, 6012. Iona eventually did get what she wanted in the worst way imaginable, for when Fabella eventually ended, the worldwide population had been whittled down to an estimated 800 million people. That's going to do it for us today. Subscribe now to get more new episodes right in your feed. Rate and review the podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Send your questions to archivesoffabella@gmail.com. Archives of Fabella is created, produced, and hosted by Dylan Foley, with music by Garrett Ferris and audio blocks. Books are available on Amazon in ebook and paperback. As always, look outside of what is possible and think about what might be.